Shannon and Nick each have some buns. If Shannon gives Nick 16 of her buns, he will have the same amount of buns as her. If Nick gives Shannon 16 of his buns, the ratio of the number of buns Shannon has to the number of buns Nick has is 5:1. And the question we're asked is, how many buns does Shannon have? Right, we've got sort of three scenarios described here. I'm going to call them A, B and C. And I am going to work backwards, I think. Because what I notice is that we've got 16 being moved around here and here, and we've also, I notice we've got 6 parts in this final scenario. So we don't have, and we also don't have any amounts added or given away, so the amount of the number of buns stays the same for all 3 scenarios. So what do I know? I mean, if I drew a very basic model, I could draw Shannon and I could draw Nick, and I know that at the beginning, I know that there's a difference of 32 between Shannon and Nick, because if Shannon gives Nick 16 buns, okay, which is half 32. If she gives him 16, they end up with the same amount. So I know that. But actually, I think if we work in parts and work backwards, it will become even easier to see this. Let me show you. So let's draw scenario C first. And we've got Shannon and we've got Nick. And Shannon has 5 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To Nick's 1. Okay, so that's scenario C. That's if Nick gives Shannon 16 of his buns. So he had this part here, okay, all right, there, and he gave that part to Shannon, all right, and that was 16. So let's see how it works out for B. What would we draw for B? Let's check it. If Shannon gives Nick 16 of her buns, he will have the same amount as her. So that was our 6 parts. They each have 3. Okay, so they have the same amount. So Shannon, in this situation, we're told that Shannon gave Nick 16 of her buns, so she must have had this and put it here, okay? Which means that A must have looked like this. So Shannon and Nick. Shannon must have had 4 parts to Nick's 2 parts. Okay, so we're just moving parts around, and each of the parts has a value of 16, and we can just sort of, check that, because this is scenario A. Shannon and Nick each have some buns. If Shannon gives Nick 16 of her buns, he will have the same amount. So if this is 16 and she puts it over here, yes, he has the same amount. So if this is 16, then all of these must be 16. All right, all the parts have the same value. All right, so, and the question we're asked, here's our question, is how many buns does Shannon have? So that's in scenario A, this is the beginning part. All right, how many buns does Shannon have? That's 16 times 4, which is 64 buns.